but as far as the show as a whole goes.
Hey there. I think you're seeing us. We're still working on some technical problems, so I'll raise my hand again like this when we're actually starting live if you want to skip through until you see us. Okay.
And I'll just put a
our
finger
little
in the
chat now.
nostril. My own nostril, to be specific.
So the page, I haven't refreshed it yet,
Oh, this is really weird.
but it's saying the live stream is over.
Yeah.
Should I be redirecting people?
No, not yet. I need to update the embed. I had to start a new event, which seems to be working. This is really weird. The event I was streaming to seemed to not work for as soon as we started the broadcast, it said, "Oh, your bandwidth is low."
Weird.
Yeah, and when I started the preview, it worked fine. But
I've had such weird things. We tried Google Hangout and then we tried an encoder, and I'm just annoyed.
What you calling annoyed?
Yay! Oh, I can see Daniel now. Yay!
okay, so it is working there. YouTube says it's working. It's receiving us. Jack, are you there? I don't know, Jack. I don't know if Jack can see the chat room because of the DNS problems. Jack, if you can see the chat, please comment.
Down for everyone or just me.com.
Okay, yeah, she can see it. Good.
.com is up.
Well, yeah, but
I know.
We know it's
but
up.
We don't know if the DNS problems are anywhere beyond this room.
Well, that's true. Yeah, if you can't access the chat room, please comment in the chat so we'll know.
Okay, then. Tweet us if you can't access the chat.
Yeah, at Once Podcast.
That's so logical.
Okay. I think...
I see it, Daniel.
Let me look back.
Oh, once
Does it
again,
still seem to be smooth? Yeah, it still seems...
I'm going to try my cellular... What's it there? Chatwing. Nope. I don't know what that one would have been, but that was a typo. It works on my cellular connection.
Okay. All right. So it looks like we're working. Yeah, John can't access the chat, he said. Man, it's like...
Oh, John can't?
Nearly...
Wait, oh, dang it.
Nearly every step of this process tonight has had something break. So I'm very sorry that it's taken this long to get things started.
Daniel, did you know somebody wrote Gullible on the ceiling?
Yeah, I did.
Evil. The queen is not the only one who's evil tonight.
I can't believe I fell for that, John. Good job. It's just payback, isn't it?
Is this John Buchanan John?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yay, John.
John
Buchanan,
Hey,
all around good guy.
Yes.
.com. No, I don't know.
Hashtag.
Hashtag all around good guy.
I like that.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's get rid of the scurvy and start the podcast.
What'd you call me?
Heather, start your recording again and clap when you're ready.
Alrighty. I am recording. Let's see if I can actually clap this time. It was closer.
That's good.
That sounded like it hurt.
It kind of did. I think I need to stand next time. Take it seriously.
Okay. Let's start this.
All right.
Do this like Buddhists.
And I've got the audio coming in through the correct channel. Let's just test it. Okay.
Woo.
So we're ready now, finally. Here we go. We're starting for real this time with the podcast. 3, 2, 1. You're listening to Once, episode 268, Dark Waters. Welcome back to another episode of Once, the unofficial podcast for ABC's TV show Once Upon a Time. I'm Daniel J. Lewis.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin.
And I'm Heather Ordover.
And it is great to have our team back together again to discuss in detail this episode, Dark Waters. If you want the show notes for this to see some of the screenshots, links we mentioned, the quotations, and to share this episode out with other Once Upon a Time fans, please go to oncepodcast.com/268. That's also where you can go to comment on this episode if you'd like to. oncepodcast.com/268. Let's jump into the past. The time, at least as it says it on the screen, the time of the Dark Curse. Now, right there, I want to start off with some feedback.
Okay.
Woo!
DeAndre put this, I think, really well. She said, wait, I don't know if it's
Or
she.
he.
Let me do
Maybe
that.
only just a he.
DeAndre said, this episode doesn't make sense timeline-wise. The story seems to be a continuation of episode 511, Swan Song, where Hook kills his father. But according to the events of 209, Queen of Hearts, the events of 511 wouldn't have nor couldn't have happened. Even if they could have, there's no way Liam would have been fully grown, as he was a child and would be no older than Henry during the present-day timeline. And since the flashback took place during the original Dark Curse, that would have made Liam around the same age as when Hook killed their father, since he went straight to Wonderland to, quote, kill, unquote, Cora, but couldn't because of her heart not being in her chest. So here's some things to think about. I know this is spaghetti timeline logic here.
See, actual time travel doesn't make my brain hurt like everybody always says. But this stuff, like, there are too many places that freeze time and too many ways that it's been done. I don't even think they can keep it straight anymore.
Well, here are some things to remind you of that do make sense of this. If you're trying to reconcile the timeline, here are some ways that partially reconcile it. First of all, remember, Hook is from hundreds of years ago. Same time as Rumpel, remember? So hundreds of years ago,
yes.
Rumpel became the Dark One. That's how he could live for hundreds of years.
Yes.
Hook went to Neverland to be able to live for hundreds of
Yes,
years
this
until he could figure out how to
has
get
to-
back at the Dark One.
This has to have been Neverland.
Now,
They have to be aware that he was in Neverland,
no, this
No.
can't be Neverland.
but it's during the time of the Dark Curse.
It is, but I'll get to that in a moment. So what happens then, Hook's father,
Uh-huh.
remember there was in the episode 511, Swan Song, is when Regina hires Hook to go kill Cora. Well, not that specific episode, but she tells him,
Oh,
before
right.
you kill Cora, I want to make sure that you're committed to this. So she has Hook go kill his father. So how did his father survive for all of these hundreds of years? That was addressed in the episode Swan Song. His father said, I escaped from some captors and I was put under a sleeping curse.
That's right. I forgot about that little quill of convenience.
Yeah. So the sleeping curse is what preserved Hook's father for all of those couple hundred years or so. oncepodcast.com/timeline. And then father met this woman, and it was true love's kiss that he fell in love with this woman while he was asleep in the curse. And her true love kiss woke him up from the sleeping curse. I know there's a plot hole there. And then they had Liam revision 2.
Oh, gosh.
Hashtag revision child.
So that all lines up so far with the events of this episode, except for the main problem here is Liam's age. That Liam, in the episode Swan Song, was 5 or 6 years old. And in this episode, during the time of the Dark Curse, Liam is closer to 18, 20 years.
Did we see Liam in that episode?
In which episode? Swan Song?
Yes.
Yes.
We
He
did.
was,
Young.
yeah, he was young. He was a young boy.
I remember the outside of the cottage. I don't remember ever seeing him.
Yeah, it was when Hook learned that
Oh.
Brennan Jones, Hook's father, named the younger boy Liam,
Right.
that Hook then decided, no, I'm going to kill you after all, instead of
Mm.
helping you with safe passage.
Love
so,
that guy.
So now how can this all coincide with the Dark Curse? Well, what we know of the Dark Curse is from episode 209, Queen of Hearts. Hook did not kill Cora. He was with Cora when the curse was cast, and Cora did that dome thing. One of my
Yep.
favorite scenes from Once Upon a Time, when she cast that dome that protected them from being swept away with the curse. But she did say, we'll be frozen for 28 years
Even though it
until
was
the curse is broken.
little bit of a retcon in and of itself.
Well,
But I kind of liked it.
not totally, because that dome protected present day fairy tale land from certain areas of present day fairy tale land. Remember Aurora and Mulan and some of the
Right.
others? It protected them so they weren't swept away from the curse.
But it wasn't that big.
But the purpose of the dome was not permanent. It was to keep them from being swept away by the curse.
Yes.
But it did still kind of freeze them in time in some way, where, however that works. Basically, I think by being frozen in time, they could still move, because Prince Philip talked about how they were still searching. But then again, he did also refer to how after the curse was lifted and they could move again.
Yeah, I think they were literally frozen, but I would hope that they weren't conscious because they should all be crazy people.
Well, if they were literally frozen, then that means that this, during the time of the Dark Curse, can't have existed like this. I think what does make
Except
sense...
in Neverland. I thought he was in Neverland
No.
during most... When did he-
Because the curse was cast and he was in Enchanted Forest with Cora.
For a while.
So then maybe he
I
did
don't
go back
get
to
it,
Neverland.
you know?
I know, because this looks like Neverland. It's dark.
Well-
it's the place where there are sea monsters.
Everything looks like Neverland.
So
It doesn't make sense.
it doesn't
I can't figure out a
quite-
way that makes sense. Maybe.
I think it does partially make sense if this is all taking place back in Enchanted Forest. And this is during the time of the curse when, I mean, look at Storybrooke. People were allowed to move around. They just had no consciousness of how much time had passed. They basically remembered the events of yesterday and the day before and stuff like that. But the actual passage of time didn't seem to occur to them. Now, Matthew Paul linked to the forums in our chat room. He mentioned a timeline question that was addressed by one of the writers, Andrew Chambliss, who tried to address some of this. So we'll have that link in the show notes at oncepodcast.com/268. The main problem in all of this, I mean, I think that where Curse is relative to the curse and everything like that, and Chambliss is saying that Hook stayed in the Enchanted Forest, which was under the time-freezing magic of the curse, and Nemo and Liam were outside the bounds. So, if Liam was outside the bounds, then that could explain his aging. But if he was outside the bounds of the dome, then he could have been swept up in the curse. But remember, the curse didn't bring everyone. It did affect
Then why
all
did
the
Cora
lands.
have to put up the barrier? See, they've gone back on what the curse was originally written to be too many times in too many ways, so they may have an explanation, but it still is bothersome because it's been revised.
I think it makes sense as long as you don't try to make it make sense too hard.
Wow. So
Hold these two conflicting thoughts in your head without your head exploding, and you'll get it.
Right.
I'm good with that.
the
So-
quote from Mulan was, "This corner of the land was untouched. No one knows why, but something saved us. And for 28 years we were frozen, and then time started again."
Yeah.
But so what? Like Storybrooke, they just wandered around ineffective. But Hook was able, like some people were able to actually be so effective as to actually leave and change realms and get out from under the curse.
Well, one of the other castings of the curse, Hook was able to outrun the curse. And it did, remember, the curse didn't bring everyone to Storybrooke, but it did seem to affect all the realms. Like it seemed to affect Wonderland. It pulled some people from Wonderland. Maybe some people from Neverland, like Smee. Maybe, and it pulled Dr. Whale from the Land Without Color.
When did he go to Neverland?
Smee?
No.
Or Hook?
Hook.
Sometime hundreds of years ago, so
Right.
that they would have enough time to be able to figure out how to get revenge.
But he left before the Dark Curse never went back, except
Apparently, yes.
when we.
Yeah.
And what happened to Smee?
Smee,
Can't remember his timeline. I guess he went in the curse
Smee said
because he was in
either
Storybrooke.
said, yeah, he either said we were in Neverland when the curse hit, or maybe he said no. He wouldn't. No, he didn't say Neverland because they weren't talking about Neverland then. He said something like we were on the Jolly Roger. I think that was season 2. It was when Rumple had Smee all tied up inside of some little shop.
They should have just said a long time ago.
Seriously, they should have. And then we could have saved the last 10 minutes of this podcast. And I know what you're thinking listening right now. You're thinking, move on, please, move on. And yes, we will. But
It's like a curse froze us or took us somewhere. I don't know which.
I do want to read one of the podcast reviews we got because this is relevant to this.
Nice.
And I'll read some of the others in a little bit. But Buff Nick said, seriously, the best podcast out there.
Wait. What was that name?
No. Just move on, okay? We got to move on. Don't confuse the issues. They said, seriously, the best podcast out there for any show. Wow, thank you. I actually enjoy listening to this group of friends discuss Once Upon a Time more than I like watching the show. They help me keep this timeline straight. The writers of the show may want to listen to the podcast for that reason alone. Yep, I totally agree. And Buff Nick also said, I personally appreciate the family friendliness of the podcast and Daniel's Christian beliefs and morals. Thank you for putting out a podcast that isn't full of swearing and questionable content. It's a pleasure to listen to. Thank you very much for that kind review, Buff Nick. We really appreciate it. And I'll thank the others who reviewed the podcast in a little bit too.
Thank you. And I hear Scrawny Nick likes us as well.
He doesn't write as well, though.
That's the little brother.
His arm gets tired.
So after spending 10 minutes on a subtitle for the first scene, let's talk about the first scene.
Now, the first wave I saw, I have a lot to say about that. Okay, maybe not.
No.
But you know what? This
We're
as
going
much
frame
as,
by frame in case you didn't know our new format.
as much as you are probably thinking, please move on. You know this is why you love us. You know this is why you listen to the podcast, because we get this in depth on these kinds of things.
We'll go where you're not willing to go yourself.
Mhm. I was getting kind of sad there for a minute.
Oh, and you know, one thing, tying this together, but moving on. One thing that makes all of this kind of relevant to who is where is Hook said if try this again. Hook said Mr. Smee wouldn't have stood for this. Well, Mr. Smee isn't there. He isn't there because he was swept up by the curse and brought to Storybrooke.
Yes.
So that's why he's not there. So that
That was the only
part
part
makes
that
sense.
felt sort of consistent, except that I'd forgotten what Smee's timeline was.
Yeah.
But I remembered as we talked.
Yep.
Narwhal.
Yeah, what in the world?
Well, what
There's
a-
nothing better than a narwhal.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, there's a few things, but Narwhals are pretty cool.
It was cool, though, to see the Nautilus approach like that. And how else would someone think? I mean, look at the classic 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and they thought the Nautilus was a sea monster. So it makes sense for them to also do that here.
Or now many fathoms under the sea.
And Nemo was apparently a stowaway.
Well, they assumed that. Obviously, he snuck on somehow. I don't know how.
And there was a shout out to anybody who had to take Latin at either catechism class or in school, because Latin, Nemo in Latin means no one.
Huh.
And so that's a joke both here and in Bleak House in the first, I think, second chapter of Bleak House. This pops up, this idea of this kind of everyman, no man thing. So having Nemo say that just made me cackle all by myself.
So you knew it was Nemo
Yeah,
before you saw the Nautilus
I did.
20 seconds later.
Right. I had 20 seconds of feeling smug, and then it was all over.
But we knew we theorized we would see Nemo at some point because of seeing the Nemo in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea illustration inside of one of those storybooks from the library in New York. Now, when Hook was brought aboard the Nautilus, Nemo says, "Call me Nemo." And I so totally wanted to hear him say, "Call me Ishmael."
With good reason.
Yeah.
Really confusing.
With good reason.
It was probably a little bit of a nod to that opening line.
Yeah.
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 Moby
Jules
Dick.
Verne had plenty of time to read Moby Dick. It's a big book, but he had plenty of time to read it between when it was published and when he published 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
So somehow Nemo has this enchanted harpoon to find wayward souls. We've seen an enchanted gauntlet to help you find what you seek most. We've seen enchanted compasses. We've seen enchanted hooks. Now we've seen an enchanted harpoon tip that points to wayward souls.
Yep. But it doesn't really, I mean, I guess once it points, like if Nemo's in private, it just spills the entire life story of that wayward soul. Because he seemed to know an awful lot about Hook.
Yeah, I was wondering if anybody tracked where it wound up by the end of the episode.
So you think it's something that will come back?
I don't know. Magical items, you don't want to really lose track of them, because who knows?
That's
kind
very
of like
true.
the shears. There's and honestly, the magical harpoon thing, along with the Call Me Nemo, made me think, oh, I wonder where they're going. Because if Moby Dick and Ahab show up by the end of the season, I will chortle.
And I think that's a logical direction for them to go. They're bringing in a lot of this kind of classic sci-fi steampunk sort of stories.
Unless they were trying to sort of merge the two stories.
At some point,
maybe.
they're probably going to journey to the center of the earth too. Or did they do that last season with
going to Hades.
And the underworld and everything, yeah.
Well, there weren't any giant flowers, so I'm going to say no.
Yeah. So, do you think Nemo's backstory was just a simple backstory, or do you think the murderers will turn out to be somebody who's also in Storybrooke now, especially now that we know he's alive?
It depends on if they stick to the book or not. So far, I was really impressed. They did a really, really nice job of dovetailing Nemo with the Nemo in the original book. And anybody who read League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, they know half of the secret to who Nemo is and what had happened. But and I don't know if you want anybody to talk about it, because since he's still alive, I think there's going to be some stuff going on.
Well, and I don't know spoilers, so I don't know if we'll see him again. He kind of seems like, to me, watching this, not knowing spoilers, he seems to me like he's a one-off character that we're not going to see him again. He's done. This was the character of the week,
Yeah.
and we're moving on.
But that doesn't mean he can't be in another episode.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Especially, I don't see how. I mean, I do see how, given the show's history, this could happen, but I don't see completely logically how they can introduce someone who is Hook's brother and then not ever show him again. However, we have many important characters who live in Storybrooke kind of happily ever after while everyone else is fighting for their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like
True.
Thomas and Cinderella don't help very much when the town's in danger.
Good
I've
point.
noticed. They don't really show up.
Yeah, and they can't afford to pay these actors to come back for every single episode or every single time.
Actors? What
No.
actors?
And she's running a daycare, which, that's a lot of time and commitment that takes.
She's protecting the children.
That's right. We have our priorities. No, it's too bad though, because I like that actor, and I thought he was a really, really solid choice for this part. And it was one of those times when Hollywood didn't whitewash the casting, and that was lovely to see. But yeah, I didn't feel like they invested a whole lot of work in, well, not in his dialogue. So I'm thinking he's probably not going to show up too much, which is too bad.
Yeah. I want to look something up real quick before we move on.
Yeah, while you're doing that, this is a good time to. Apparently, the video froze again.
Yay!
So while we've been talking, I've switched over to audio only,
Oh.
and I want to verify that that is working. So I'm placing a marker here. Jack, your missing spots. Spots will be.
Okay, yeah. Now this
some-
is kind of funny. I do have a little
16,
funny
18,
connection to
20.
make with him.
Oh, good.
Oh wait, nope, it's not funny. I'm glad I looked it up. He was
Oh. Hold on. Are you?
well, I'm not probably going to get into it because
So is
well, I
this
can
for
mention
the podcast?
why are Dachshund, why are you talking about like my teeth and hair and stuff? I don't understand. I'm trying to decide if it's worth mentioning who's in. Oh, there actually is a good connection there. I will mention it
Yes.
whenever we're ready anyway.
My breath is bated.
I'll wait until we're recording.
I want to have my full focus on the conversation again. So let me make sure this is
I
working.
want that too for you and for all of us.
And they probably have to press play as well. Play automatically. Let me change that as well. Because it's not playing automatically. Play
This is the nice
automatically.
part
Let me
about
change
working
that
with a coding genius.
as well.
Whoa, I hear redundancy.
Because it's not playing automatically. Play
This is the nice part
automatically.
about
Change
working
that
with a coding
Where's
Time
that
is in a
coming
loop.
as well.
Time is in a loop. Time is in a loop. Oh, did it stop? Dang it.
Okay, oncepodcast.com/live. Should work. This page does not cache. So I just set it to autoplay. Why isn't it autoplaying?
Your face. What I love is how this stuff happens even though like nothing has changed from
Isn't it
other weeks.
autoplaying?
Time is in a loop.
Nicely done. How Miss Peregrine of you.
I don't know where that audio just came from though.
Maybe it really was a time loop.
Okay. Let's see that it's working now. Yep.
Whoa.
Okay.
Of all the things.
All right.
Why am I having trouble
Man.
finding things? Where is it? Oh, there it is.
Okay. Jeremy,
Yes.
we're ready to go on.
Okay, where did we leave off?
You said there was something relevant you wanted to bring up.
I know. How would you say his name?